Well, it's daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. And of course, as ever, let's begin with our sister publication this day, leading with In a Move that may prevent vote buying. CBN sets new withdrawal limits. And of course, more stories there on the front page of the paper this morning. Above the nameplate, let's look at what it's saying. Tinubu, how I made my money. I'm not denying my wealth. That's the presidential candidate of the governing All Progressives Congress in Nigeria. Well, he made that comment in an exclusive interview with the BBC in London. There are many other stories here on the front page. Let's look at what Atiku has to say. Well, Atiku says Tinubu's Chatham House appearance comparable only to stand-up comedy. Sultan, let's trust Buhari and promise for a credible 2023 election. That's a promise the president has repeatedly made in recent times. There's many more you can find in a copy of our sister publication This Day Today.
This is the Punch newspaper is also leading with new Naira. Customers, companies panic as CBN slashes withdrawal limits. Over-the-counter weekly withdrawals, 100,000 Naira for individuals, 500,000 Naira for firms. Diaspora Nigerians sue INEC over poll. That report is on page 13. Train attack victims demand federal government compensation. And queues grow as ex-depot price hits 235 Naira per litre.
And to the Nation newspaper, it's focusing on Tinubu as its lead story this morning. I am candidate to beat, that's why attacks are coming. This following the trend from the BBC interview. Well, it has writers there. Ex-governor speaks on records, wealth, economy, campaign, council defense, Chatham House outing. Above the nameplate for the Nation this morning, Sultan can upbeat on peaceful 2023 elections. A federal government seeks United Nations funding for 2023 polls and census. Aregbesol's men seek return to APC dissolve group as Morocco rolls into World Cup quarterfinals. Finally, the CBN limits cash withdrawal to 100,000 Naira weekly for individuals. You would see that story everywhere you go today.
Yes, it's also in the Daily Sun. New Naira notes. CBN pegs weekly bank withdrawal at 100,000 Naira. The proscribed IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra, dispels 5 days sit-at-home rumour. APC LP candidates fight over manifestos, and Peter Obi shuts down Imo in mega rally, vows to end strikes in universities.
Shall we take a look at the foreign papers now, and beginning with the Independent. Sunak under pressure to avert winter chaos. And of course, the picture of a victorious Morocco side. Morocco makes Spain pay the penalty. Nicely put.
The Financial Times now. Power surge, solar set to overtake coal. And Sunak pressed to speed up anti-strike legislation as industrial action surges. And in the US, the TSMC triples spend on Arizona plants to $40 billion as US pursues chip security.
For the Daily Telegraph, where it's focusing on health this morning, ambulance unlikely if you fall, elderly told. A strike is expected to lead to paramedics and 999 workers curtailing call-outs.
And this is the Eye. UK's strep fight back may need extra antibiotics. And up there is Morocco World Cup minnows make history and will meet Portugal in the quarterfinals.
And for the press preview, well, let's bring in Emmanuel Baylor. Emmanuel Baylor, great to see you again. We missed you yesterday.
Welcome back. This one, well, I'm seeing we're doing this together again today.
Yes.
So nice to have you back.
Great to be here. And so, I mean, a recurring story we've seen, or two recurring stories we've seen, is that of one, the CBN, and two, politics, Tinubu interview. But I think we should begin with the CBN policy. Emmanuel Bello, Nigerians love to carry cash. Apparently, when the CBN says 80% of the money in circulation is not in its votes, the Apex Bank doesn't control about 80% of the money in circulation. So it does translate to Nigerians do have a culture of carrying cash about, despite 8 years of a cashless policy. What did you make of that circular yesterday when you saw it?
Yeah, we're a cash-based economy, that's right. And yes, our people love to do a lot of show-off with cash. The idea is to have a lot of word with you, you do all that spraying and all of that. But this is beyond the social implications of cash. This is being tied to serious policies that affect the economy, not only the economy, but affect the coming election. Like these days, putting it so boldly, putting it in perspective and saying that this is another effort at curbing vote buying. I remember this was earlier on. The president has made a very big case for the new notes and saying that, look, the whole idea is to starve those who have hidden money somewhere, those who are using cash, not just only for political purposes, but for other nefarious activities. Cash seems to be the issue, and like you noted, this was the fact that most of those monies are not kept in the system; they are outside the system, running into trillions of naira. So the president's continuation. And it's not just today that we've tried to, embark on some kind of cashless kind of economy, where the emphasis will be on little cash with Nigeria, with people, and more of it done online. The CBN, for instance, is saying that this is to encourage the e-naira initiative, where people are supposed to use technology, modern technology, to do transactions. But this is just breaking, and I can assure you that this is why a lot of people are going to weigh in on this. What happens when people have less cash with them? What happened to their buying power? For a majority of Nigerians, they are not even really worried about those amounts of money. They're just worried about the fact that, about their plight, their conditions, the fact that the economy is, hardship is biting harder. And now that you are going to take out more cash out of their hands because of these new policies of reducing the amount, a lot of people are bound to wonder whether this is not going to further affect their livelihood and deepen the hardship that a lot of people are really groaning under.
Talking about money, Emmanuel, the presidential candidate of the people, the All Progressives Congress, has been speaking in London, saying he's not denying his wealth. He didn't particularly say how he came about it, but that's what he's been saying. He's been speaking in an interview. What do you make of that short one on the BBC?
Well, I think it's one of the very few times we saw the candidate trying to be a bit coherent and trying to even provide some kind of the presidential candidate trying to be coherent and try to give some kind of understanding of the questions that have surrounded his person, his wealth, his persona. Of course, he didn't go into details, and the interview was a bit shorter than you'll be expecting. But it made up for what the PDP is called the disaster. When he spoke extempo at the conference, the Chatham debates, including a lot of people debating that outing. PDP, of course, saying that, look, it was comedy, it was stand-up comedy at his best because of the buck passing. Yeah, the presidential candidate actually asked other people to answer some of the questions for him. But in this BBC interview, I think he was on script. It was pre-recorded, and he tried to give some kind of answers. And the question, the issue about his wealth, people have always wondered how rich he is, and the interviewer was very clear about it and said, look, you got all this money from the Lagos state government. He denied that vehemently. He said he got his money from real estate. He was a bit, slow in answering that, and he came out clean to say, look, I'm not ashamed that I'm a rich man. What's wrong with wealth? He said the people attacking his wealth, are they anti-wealth? Do they hate rich people? Mm-hmm. So, but those too many questions still there to be answered. But what are these? How has he actually, over the years, dealt with the crisis of his identity, for tourist and his persona, and a lot of things that people don't know about him. If you're going to be the president of this country, it has to be full disclosure, and your life will be out there for a lot of people to scrutinize. I think it's all part of the scrutiny that almost everyone is interested in, to know who this man is, what he stands for, and everything. He says the attacks are on him because he is the front runner, but a lot of people will say no, the attacks are on you because we want to know you more, want to know who you are and what you can do.
Interesting. And I like what you said. I mean, despite answering these questions, he does raise more questions than answers. But Emmanuel, I almost called Emmanuel Efeni. Help me make sense of this. This is a candidate of the governing party who says the media in Nigeria is trying to use him to make money, and that's why he has not appeared for interviews or questions, or for instance, a town hall series by Arise News, but then goes abroad and has this one-on-one with the BBC. Are you able to make sense of that?
It's difficult to make sense of that, and then it's the kind of flip-flop or the kind of missed messages that are being associated with this candidate. And of course, it's a terrible thing to say that Arise Network, TV, or any other network here is trying to make money off him. Those town halls are not cash-based. They are not paid for. They're actually the sort of services rendered by these platforms for candidates who should actually be grateful for the opportunities to come and talk about their manifestos and about their dreams for the country. So it's not an attempt, it's not a commercial effort or an attempt to rip anyone off. So to make that kind of strong statement, I don't know if Arise has actually, if the network has answered him on that yet. But yeah, you're right, he was on BBC. And it smacks of, some kind of disdain and contempt for your own audience, for your own platform. And they do that a lot, again, when, leaders choose to talk to us from elsewhere and, have no faith in the media. It's the same thing with going out for medical care and all of that when you have your hospitals here and you have no faith in them. If these people have their way, they will actually do everything they have to do from the outside. So these are the sort of thing, and you don't expect that for someone who is planning to be the president of this country to have that level of contempt and disdain for his platform. You will imagine that yes, he would like to take advantage, or actually commend the networks who are trying to bring them together. But here you have it in this where he's there on BBC, talking so freely and talking about the things that the kind of questions we would like to ask. The question our colleagues at the BBC are asking are the sort of questions that we also ask anyway. So I don't see witch hunting in there. They actually ask those hard-hitting questions too. The sort of questions that you and I would have loved to ask him if we were sitting right in front of me. Questions about his past, his person, his history, his antecedent, and you want to know everything about it. People are curious to know this because this is a very, very important election, affect the lives of millions and millions of people, not just in Nigeria but elsewhere.
And I've just been reminded by our producers that it's not just even the town hall series or interviews or conversations. He wasn't also at the peace signing accord. He wasn't at the MBA conference. He did send representatives to those events. But, Emmanuel, you do make the point that it does smack of some sort of disdain for what is yours locally, those who are going to vote you into power.
Well, the Punch newspaper is saying the diaspora Nigerians have sued INEC over the polls. They want to vote, but INEC has not made that possible.
Well, that's an interesting development, and especially for an election where INEC continuously talk about the fact that it's going to be technology-based. I think maybe they have to actually think outside the box to see how Nigerians in diaspora culture, because they are actually a very lively lot who are very interested in what is happening back home. You see them in, staging all sorts of protests, showing a lot of concern. I think Nigerians in diaspora are probably much more bothered about what's happening back home because they also feel the effects. They want good governance here. Some of them want to really come back home. So a lot of people looking forward to this election, and that's why this election is very daunting, very important. On the front page of this day, the Sultan is weighing on the election itself, saying that, look, let's give the president the benefit of the doubt on delivering on a very transparent election. I think this is a historical election. Everybody wants to be part of it. It's an election that is going to make or mar, for want of a better sentence there, on what happens to this country eventually. So I think that is why you have that whole enthusiasm and excitement around this election, either it is Nigerians in diaspora or those of us here. Everyone is weighing on this election to see what happens.
Do we still have more time? Oh, okay. Two quick stories on the front page of the Sun, Daily Sun. Emmanuel, I think they're very important. APC Labour Party candidates fight over manifestos. That's a developing story. We've seen some complaints about the Labour Party's manifestos that have just been released. We also have the IPOB dispelling 5-day sit-at-home rumor. Do you think that the situation in the South has gone out of control and beyond what IPOB had initially planned? They're now saying we didn't order sit-at-home. However, there's a group that has issued a 5-day sit-at-home.
And that's why I don't know if you saw the video. It's very chilling. You had the very, very chilling kind of a command or even directive that. But because this sit at home have been actually associated now with the South, it's almost as if it's part and parcel of the calendar of the Southeast. That's every Mondays, for instance, they sit at home. So it's difficult to know who is calling who not to come out, because it was very clear that if you come out on the 11th, 10th, and they gave the dates, if you come out, you're going to die. So it's those kind of things that is worrisome. And then on top of that is the fact that the Southeast is so excited about producing the next president. If you continue to call for those sit at homes, and you continue to disrupt even rallies, and you continue to say you don't want any elections, it's a bit confusing. If you're not going to give the kind of push and the support that Peter Obi, for instance, will be needing from that region, the say charity begins at home, you begin to wonder what the rest of this country will be thinking. On the manifestos, yes, Nigerians are fact-checking everything that everyone is saying on their manifesto. I think it's a good thing that we stay on those manifestos and look at them critically with the view of asking ourselves how this manifesto actually translates into real changes in the country.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview. Let's hear your views. Follow us on Twitter @AriseTV. You can tweet with the hashtag AriseDaybreak.